Hey, how you doing? Recently I made a video about this right here, the PowerShot G12 from Canon and its sibling, the G11. And in it I talked about how much I liked it because I thought it was a good compromise between a point and shoot, which it is because you just pull it out, point and shoot, and an SLR because it has all the wonderful bells and whistles of an SLR, all the little gizmos and trinkets and all that stuff, but you don't have the lugginess of the lenses. So you can just carry this with you and you are good. It doesn't take the place of an SLR, but it's a good compromise. And I thought I was done. But then something happened. I was looking through cameras, trying to find daily cameras for me to review for you as an excuse so I can buy more cameras. And I came across something that offended me. I found something that really irked my nards. It was a thief amongst thieves. It was a rival to that Canon G12. And we're gonna talk about it here because they stole the G12. So stay tuned, because I'm done. I'm just done.
Hi there. Wolverine! So what we unboxed there was this right here, the Nikon CoolPix P7100. It came out in 2011 with an MSRP of $500. And it took photos at a whopping 10 megapixels. And Nikon didn't do you dirty with the video because the video shot at 720. At 720, at 24 frames per second. But let's face it, it is 2011 technology, so 2011? Yeah, 2011 technology. So, I mean, where could you go? It's not a cinematic camera. It's not. It's supposed to be consumer. It's supposed to be, hey, you, average guy out there, you can do stuff like the professionals. And if you're a professional, hey, guess what? You can get a B-roll camera for a lot cheaper than your big lens camera that you carry. But they failed. Because the reality is, after using this camera for a while, after, trying to take photos with this, it didn't hold up. And I can understand why the value is not even near what something like this from the same amount of time. I mean, this came out this came out about 2011, 2012. And like I said, it's a pretty much straight ripoff of the camera. It's kind of like they looked at the G12, they looked at this one right here, and they said, hey, let's take this back to G11. And they did, because the body's metal, because this one's that robust plastic. This one, it's robust plastic. It's, and it feels sturdy. I like this. In fact, I'm going to look at the GX1. The GX1 is just wonderful. But and then when you get to it, when you start using it, it's like there is so many knobs and dials that are it's almost overwhelming. It's like once you start using it, you're thinking that you got to go back to school to use this thing. I mean, let's look at the comparison. Okay, so when you go to the front of the camera, I mean, you've got one, two, three knobs just in the front alone. 3 knobs in the front versus the Canon. You've got, what do we got here? We got one knob, and that's for your finger. One knob. Then you go to the top. A look at the top is just, I mean, if you look at that top, look at how much is going on there. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buttons on the top here. 8 buttons. You take the Canon. It's like you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons, right? And then the back. Look at the back there. I mean, that is just, look at that. It is just, it's so much that it just feels like it just feels uncomfortable because, I mean, let me look at the Canon right there, right? You got the buttons, familiar layout. I mean, you pick up a Leica, or you pick up a Sony, or you pick up any other camera. You have the familiarity of this camera. I mean, this camera was made not only for the professional and semi-pro, this is made for the average consumer to pick up, put it on auto, and boom, good to go. Not this one. This one's pick up and, oh crap, I'm going back to school because I'm kind of confused about all the stuff that's going on here. I'm just like, oh, you know, so they made this for the person that knows what the hell they're doing, but they really didn't make it for the average person to say, here you go. This is your camera. If you want to go from point and shoot to you know, getting somewhat professional, and we're having a little more actions like this, here's your, this one, I'm losing track of my thoughts. I'm all over the place. So it just makes no sense of all the dials on here. See, that's where Canon was thinking ahead. You know, they wanted you, the average consumer, to jump from point and shoots to the, you know, the SLR, the professional, but in between. Or if you didn't even want to get to full on SLRs and stuff, guess what? You've got a camera that can do a little bit more than a point and shoot. Well, a lot more actually, because there's a lot of things you can do in this one. And this is what they were trying to do. They were trying to do this, but they made it to the point where you actually have to know what you're doing when to get into this. You can't just pick it up and go. I mean, again, look at the back of that. That is just so much. And also to show you what they were going for, right? About 2012, 2011, vlogging was starting to get into its own. Vlogging was starting to really push the boundaries of it, right? So Canon thought about that. Canon, boom, you know, you've got your screen. And this, the screen here, that's it. I mean, they did think about the average consumer. They for the vlogger, right? Because they've got a mic jack, right? They have a mic jack right there. I'm trying to look at the camera behind it, but they have a mic jack, which is a good thing. So this means the average, you know, the average person like me and you can start vlogging. But the problem is, without an articulating screen, you can't. I need to hook up an extra monitor. I mean, and these, you know, at 720p, the camera that I'm using here, that's fully cinematic. You know, this is made for filming and making videos and stuff. This, you have to put an external monitor in. Like, who wants to pay $500 and then an extra this and an extra that? The Canon, you pick it up. Yeah, I mean, they screwed up because they don't have a microphone jack. And in fact, in the couple generations after this, they didn't do the microphone jacks. So they didn't think that far ahead. But the reality is most people like us that are going to make these videos, we're going to have lapel mics and wireless microphones, because I've got one here, you know, and stuff. I don't actually use the onboard microphones unless I'm out on the field. So when it comes to the average camera, when it comes to the average person, the average Joe, the average guy, this is not really a camera that you're gonna be using. You know, I mean, on the used market right now, this thing is going. I just saw one for $100. I just saw this thing for $100. This one is actually. There's some places that are charging $800 for this one. So you can see where they go with these. You know, you can see where people are wanting with these things. But enough of the bashing. Enough of me hating on the Nikon. Let's go look at the photos and the videos that I took at the Athens State, Georgia Botanical Thingamabobbers, and let you guys be the judge. Because who knows? You might actually like the Nikon and how it turned out. I'm not about it. So let's go. So here we are at the Athens Botanical Gardens, the Botanical Gardens in Athens, the Georgia State Botanical Gardens. Something to do comparison videos of the Nikon CoolPix P7100 and the Canon PowerShot G12. So let's go take a look. So, what did you folks out there think about the Nikon? I'm not gonna lie. I thought the photos and the video quality were wonderful. And the reason why I did, though, Canon and the Nikon, like I said, I feel that Nikon totally ripped off Canon when it came to this. They went for the G12, but set back to the G11. But again, let's face it, the photos were really good. And if you're someone who likes controls, it's got the controls for you. It's got the controls. It's like, it is like NASA compared to the G11 or G12. It's got so much going on for it. Yeah, if you're a Nikon person, you'll probably like this. But for me, all the controls were part of its downfall. See, when I was taking photos, you know, getting all different angles, I found myself having to readjust my settings. Even on the auto, I felt like I was having to redo so much. Because look where my hand is resting on this. I'm touching buttons. The top is no better. I'm crossing another control. And on the back, I'm touching like 4 buttons before I even take my shot. And then you've got, of course, push pressure. And if you got one hand, you're leaning on something, you're one-handed, you're pushing and pressing down on other buttons besides the shutter button. And that just left me struggling to take photos at times. And no articulating screen except for up and down. There was just some shots that I had to work a little bit harder versus the G12. Again, they really didn't think about the average user when they came out with this camera. Because like the G12, look at that. Put my hand right there and, you know, I'm touching nothing. And it feels comfortable. I actually had no issues with my G12. And again, that could be subjective because I'm more of a Canon fan than Nikon fan. And if you're a Nikon fan, you might actually dig all the controls. You might dig every aspect of it. And if you are somebody out there that might want to transition to an SLR, $100 to $150 for this thing? Whoops, I just turned, what did I do? I turned it on. For $100 and $150 for this thing, that might be a good starting point for you because the photos are still good. The video is still great. Because let's face it, when it comes to cameras, when it comes to photography in general, it is subjective to you, the user. What you might like, I may not like, and vice versa. But then again, we could agree on everything. In fact, I had a lot of friends when I was doing photography downtown for some of the bars. I had a lot of friends that were Nikon users. And we would go back and forth jokingly like whose camera was better. You know, the Nikon kids stayed with Nikon. I stayed with Canon. But you know what? We all took wonderful photos and we all loved each other. I've got some great shots of some of these girls that I used to do photos with or around when I was, doing photos down in Athens. So I may not like the Nikon. You might. So you should go check it out. If nothing else, just go get a camera and you should go, and go get a camera, even if it's this Nikon, go get a camera and you go show the world how you see it. I'll see you next time.